Come the ding dongs.
Welcome.
It's like being on the Brady Bunch. Remember that? Mom! Hey, Mom. Mom? Hello.
You're probably getting her.
The Kayla. Grandma. Mom, can you hear? That is awesome. Okay. How are we doing, Rory? People are still clicking in?
Yeah. We can begin.
Great.
We'll have a few people joining us as we go, so we can begin.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Welcome.
Hello. This is just so exciting. And so I'm Mary Helen. If you've been on Boom before, you've seen me. I am your hostess with the mostess. And I am speaking to you live from Hollywood. And I have my own crowd here with me to help celebrate this Hamilton launch party. There's Gemma from Watts, who are musical fans here. And that's Billy. And that's Celeste, that's Marcus, that's Avion. And so we're all here to partake in this awesomeness today. And so I'm really, really excited. I don't know about you. I'm sure, Ella, you look like you've gotten totally dressed up for the occasion. You look amazing. And so, yeah, we decided to make a party of it here. So we're super, super excited to have you guys. And I thank you in the midst of what I know is such a busy, busy time for all of you. That you took the time to be here with us for the Hamilton launch. So, Thane, how about wave out to everybody and unmute yourself?
Hey guys, how y'all doing? I'm Thane Jasperson.
And guys, Thane is the only remaining member of the original Broadway cast.
I know, it's still stuck around. It's been crazy.
Doesn't look 87, does he?
Well, you know, that's right.
Fabulous. Oh, so we're delighted to have you with us, Thane. This is it's so amazing, and what an honor to have somebody, because you bring something unique to this story that that nobody else can bring to the table. So we're dying to hear your snippets about what it's like having been there from start to global pause.
To global pause.
And
Well,
what
thanks.
it
I'm
would be
excited.
like to return. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, and hey, Austin.
What's up?
Hey.
Hey now.
Greetings, and Austin
Greetings.
is joining us. And for anybody who knows Hamilton, he's been Alexander before he took on Girl from the North Country in January for the extended run of 1 week. Austin played Hamilton himself on tour and on Broadway for the 2 years previous. So what an honor. We are absolutely delighted to have you here with us. And
I'm excited to be here.
So welcome. And then you're reporting in from where?
I am currently in South Burlington, Vermont.
South Burlington, Vermont. We're coming in from
People
all over the place.
all over the country.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
And let's see, Ryan, wave out to me. Ah, there you are.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, guys. So, I'm just going to say, who haven't you played in Hamilton?
So I in Hamilton, I'm the standby in the Broadway company now for Hamilton, Burr, George Washington, James Madison, and Thomas Jefferson.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So this is such an amazing opportunity for us to get a behind the scenes snippet for what it's like to do that. That's called is it swing? Is that
standby is technically the name
standby?
for it,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, we were talking about this last night going, so not only do you have to remember all of Hamilton's lyrics, but you have to remember pretty much everybody's lyrics.
Yeah, pretty much everybody. Yeah. Even the women, you never know what's going to happen,
Yeah, this is an
Julia can attest to that.
Yes.
we've all been in a tight spot here and there, you know? So
Absolutely.
yeah, staying on our toes out here.
Where's Julia? There you are. Are you on? There you go. This is Julia, guys. And anyone who knows Eliza, Julia is one of the, I think there have been 5 who've played Eliza overall, and you are one of those.
More. So many more.
Now?
Oh, yeah. Lots.
Okay.
I started off as a standby and played the 3 sisters in the Angelica tour, and then took over for Eliza later on, and then played Eliza with the Anne Peggy tour.
And we are dying to hear how that went. Yeah, absolutely. So I've got one in here wearing her, come over and show us your t-shirt. Your Schuyler sisters. Yeah, we've got fans everywhere. So this is our representation here. So the sisters are in the house at Celeste.
Hi.
Yes. So thank you so much for being here with us, and we're looking forward to hearing from you later. And Rory.
Yes.
Hello. Oh no, which Rory?
Yes, you. Oh yeah, I said I do. Da 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 da. So we have yes, Rory O'Malley, who is here with us, and our King of Kings. So tell us a little bit about your role in Hamilton.
I played the king on Broadway and then with the Angelica Company, and was about to open the Los Angeles Company on March 12th. Was our first preview, and it did not happen. That was the day that Broadway closed down.
Will.
Yes, it will. It will. But we're out here in Los Angeles ready to go. And I love all of these wonderful Hamilton family members. I've been on stage with all of them. They're some of the most talented human beings I know. So this is a really real treat.
So much fun. And I see Ella going crazy down there when I said King of Kings. Yes. Yes, he did, Ella. That was him. That's absolutely brilliant. So let's see, timing wise, how am I doing? Rory, other Rory, how are we doing as far as, do you want to do some questions first?
Yeah, just start into answer questions. Anyone who wants to have a question, just write it in the chat box so we can ask the person you want to ask.
And that's Rory, the mysterious voice, and not Rory O'Malley. We're getting it down. Yeah, so, and we've got more people joining. That's fantastic. Welcome, Carol. And
that's my mama.
Welcome, we've got the mamas. And I see my mom sitting there poking with a stylus, so obviously something's not happening, but God bless her at 91 for being on a Zoom call. That's amazing. So let's go. Hey, Julia, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now?
What I'm doing right now, in Los Angeles?
Yes.
I am quarantining with the family. We're all safe, which is really nice. Just all got tested because we had some friends that tested positive, so we all wanted to make sure we were all negative before we, went out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been writing some music, kind of auditioning here and there. Not really sure what's happening in the world of film or television or anything. I don't think anybody really does, but auditioning for little things, and just writing and trying to release some music.
Oh, brilliant. So making some great use of that time. And I see you're in studio here. So what a perfect time. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll pop down to you, Austin. And I know you and Alexa, you're at her family home in Vermont, I think. And
we are.
Yeah. So tell me what I saw something that you guys did yesterday.
Well, first off, I got to say, I think Julia takes the prize for the coolest backdrop.
I know, totally.
Any of us here.
Oh, yeah.
She's like a professional studio, so that's dope. Why not? I'm out in South Burlington, Vermont. I'm staying with my girlfriend Alexa and her family. They kind of took us in when Broadway shut down and everything, and we just flew New York kind of. And I've been staying out here for the past 4 or 5 months. And yeah, that we just dropped this this video called we did R&H Live, which is Rogers and Hammerstein has their own YouTube channel, and so we about like a month and a half ago we recorded this video and an interview, just kind of a little song. We got to put together a cover of My Favorite Things from.
My Favorite Things. It was adorable.
It was very fun, and you know, we didn't release it back when we recorded it because, you know, everything happened and George Floyd was murdered and, you know, the revolution begun. And so we just were like, no, we need to set this aside, you know, do our part and lend our voices. And, you know, now we just decided we're just going to put it out, share a little moment of joy. And, you know, it seems like people have been enjoying it. So that's been nice. And we got to work with Sean Dre, Hall Broomfields, who played Mulligan Madison on the tour with me and Julia and Ryan.
Oh, wow.
And so we got to put that together with him, and it was really fun.
Yeah, and I think you really touched on something that all of us are trying to find a balance with, which is, you know, we have so much going on. We've been extraordinarily active in trying to educate and be part of the Black Lives movement, Black Lives Matter movement. And it's that weird kind of thing of, you know, you've got life spinning over here as well. And then you're in and you're dedicated and out, and we're marching and we're doing everything we can to educate and actually live that instead of just talking about it. And don't you find it kind of odd too, though, because you're like, oh, I got to go to work at 4 o'clock, or I have to, it's this strangest feeling I find. It's this brand new territory that we're in, which is, you know, this total presence and consciousness about you've got to show up. And I'm over here as well. And I love how you just put that you just pause to drop that moment of joy into a time period that's really, really important and crucial.
Yeah, you know, it's a balance, right? It's definitely a balance. And I think it's just, we all have to figure out how we can work it into our everyday lives so that it, you know, because it's going to be a marathon. This is not something that's going to end or change overnight. It's going to be a very, very long process. So we're in it for the long haul, and we've got to find out how we can balance, you know, keep everything in balance.
Just keep dropping the joy. I like that. That's a great take. All right, Thane. So tell us about what you're doing at the moment.
Well, currently, kind of like everybody else, I mean, it's a different, you know, time. So for one, it's as performers. I mean, I know that Ryan and I have kind of talked about this a little bit, but I don't know how the others feel, but there is something that is kind of nice about like not feeling the constant pressure of like, what's next? What am I doing? Audition, get this. You know, so there's something kind of beautiful about being able to enjoy family. I came to Utah to spend time with my family out here and to be in nature, and so I kind of find my zen. But I do love to, you know, me and my mom, we do aerobics in the morning, so we're like pumping out together, and which is cute. And then I also, you know, I'll teach and I'll do via Zoom things and choreography and stuff like that. And then getting to do fundraisers like this has been really beautiful, and to get to also reconnect with, you know, cast and amazing humans that you miss. But that, and then also, you know, I mean, like Austin was saying, it's been really, you know, a unique time that has also brought a lot of all the things, right? All the elements are combining. And so it's been something that's been inspiring to be able to also try and find, like, how do you give any kind of hope or education or understanding, or, you know, wherever it is you feel that you are amongst everything. And like I was able to do this project recently that was really beautiful, and it was about, you know, just finding confidence and pride in who you are and feeling comfortable with that and being able to share that with humans so that everybody can, you know, also express who they are and be that and to their fullest capacity. So it's, you know, it's been a time of a lot of awareness, which is beautiful and educational too.
That is amazing. And I think that's what we're all here doing is trying to find our way through the best way that we can. And on a very positive note, we just got our first donation, guys.
Hey.
This is actually a fundraiser. So anybody who's watching, you're at boommasterclass.com/donate. Because, you know, we're partnered with some really amazing groups right now. And it's just important that you remember this is a big and uncharted time in history. And we've all just recently found out that Broadway will not reopen until the earliest January the 3rd. And so what you're looking at is some of our favorite stars and some of our favorite actors and actresses. Don't forget our behind the scene folks who make all of the magic happen. And so this is a really, really crunchy time for everybody, because they're like, okay, now it's January. How am I going to move forward? How am I going to make a living? Oh my gosh, I might need medication, or how am I going to pay my rent? And we have partnered with some groups who are assisting actors who are helping fellow actors by doing things just like what we're doing right now, so that there is a fund set aside for people who are in need. So we want to, you know, we love our Broadway shows, we love our movies and our West End, and we love all of that. But when the going gets tough, we forget these are folks just like us who are working, who are showing up, giving their wares. But if no one is there to actually pay for the show, to go to the show, there's no money. And so it's really important right now that we're working together to help donate to this, because we want to help keep one another afloat during this time. And that's the name of the game. We're in partnership with one another. And so that's why I'm just so terribly grateful for you all turning up, because you're not just turning up for yourselves or promoting what you do personally. You're turning up and you are helping your fellow actors. And I think that is just so extraordinary and so commendable. And it is also such the vibe of the world that we're shifting into. And I love it. So Ryan, I'm going to pop over to you. Give us your take on that.
Yeah, wow. So hey everyone. Yeah, I'm quarantining here in New York. I'm in my apartment. Yeah, I mean, we're sort of all this is a group of people, it seems like, who's very cognizant of the moment that we're in, right? And if we maybe have had some tough, nuanced conversations with people, we have in this group, right, have probably felt like they are a little ahead of the curve as far as like the unlearning compared to some of the stuff you see in the news, you know? So that being said, like, we have to use that. If you feel like you have a head start, right, then you need to use that to continue to push the bar forward. You know, you cannot be relaxing back because you feel like you live in New York or California and you have some sort of nuanced understanding of an issue that you likely do not have, you know, especially if you're a white person. So, you know, during this time, like, I've been working really hard on this project to bring voters into down ballot races all over the country in November. Yes. It's going to be in these sort of tight districts that were won in by tight margins in 2018 when there was a big surge. And we're going to make sure that we hold those districts and flip these houses, because what we're seeing here now, you know, especially right now, is that it's the local and state governments that are really taking the reins on a lot of this stuff. You know, without a sort of federal plan for things like COVID, for things like, you know, responding to police brutality and systemic racism, if those things aren't changed at the state level, we're going to have a lot of trouble getting into these communities where, you know, things like the bathroom bill are being passed, things like, you know, we want to get into, we want to make sure that those laws never exist in the first place. So I think it's going to be a really helpful tool. We're like really excited about that, and the people that I'm working with on that. So, I mean, just sort of to piggyback off of what people are saying, right? Like, you know, we don't go to work at 4 every day and click back into normal life. So whatever your normal life is right now, if you are emboldened by this moment of change, like, you need to be participating, which is what everybody's saying. So I'm glad to be in a room of people who I know are participating.
Thank you. And thank you for being in the room where it happens, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of cliches, Rory O'Malley.
I am a walking cliche.
To die at that.
No, yeah, that's me. I am a cliche.
Da, 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 da. I told you that's your intro for me. So I'm dying to hear. Tell me what you're doing right now.
I am in Los Angeles. Like I said, we were about to open Hamilton, LA, but I'm luckily been able to keep working. Yeah. That looks like a sports team. And I'm kidding. I love the Lakers. I'm kidding. I am in my garage right now in my sound booth, which is a mattress pad and curtains and a microphone, and I've been doing like voiceover work and Zooms and also kind of hiding from my toddler because my son Jimmy O'Malley, another cliche of a name, an Irishman, he is crazy. He's 18 months old and he's running around like a lunatic. I'm obsessed with him. I love him, but it is nice to come in here and do things like this and talk to other artists and create.
That's a mattress pad?
Yes.
I'm like, that's the coolest mattress pad ever.
So fancy.
It's literally has like lint on it. So no, it's not fancy at all.
Oh, but it makes it look like clouds. It's like
Yeah.
they're floating in the sky.
Cloud backdrop.
That's what I thought.
Totally.
No, I am in my washer and dryer are right there. But yeah, but it's been nice to have this little, we've all figured out how to be creative or how to connect. And this little corner of my garage in the laundry nook has become my creativity corner. And, I really miss connecting with my fellow artists who I'm just so proud to share a stage with, and proud of Ryan for doing something and creating something that is so important right now, and all that you all are doing. I feel like having these conversations with artists are the most important thing that we can do right now, because usually we are so preoccupied with what's our next job or what's the job that we're in. And I know exactly what Thane was saying, is that usually if I'm not working, I'm desperately trying to find that job. So I'm a little down, I'm like, I know how to be unemployed. I've been unemployed most of my career, but usually you feel like it's something about your inadequacy. Like you haven't been able to find the right job or get something. And this is, we all are saying, no, we are all in the same boat. We are all equal. We all have to figure out a way to find value in our day and to put something out into the world on our own, and a way to connect with others, not just to show up at a place of work that somebody gave us. So it's work to communicate and create with others, and but it's also beautiful. So I'm very happy to be here.
Beautiful. Well, we're delighted that you are with us, and I'm glad that you're hiding out in the washing room from the toddler. I spent many years hiding in a walk-in closet in a bathroom, and I understand how that works. But the beauty of that, I will tell you, fast forward from 18 months to 18 years.
Aww.
That they get to be here and be with us and be present and be part of this. And that is the joy of parenting. And especially when your kids grow up and they're so geeky and like all the same stuff that you do. That's really fun. But yeah, so thank you all. And thanks for sharing what you're doing and where you are. I think it's really important that we always acknowledge we're in such an interesting and unique time in history. And I think probably the number one thing moving forward is that people aren't afraid to mess up, that we consciously accept one another, that as we try, as we change, as we educate, as we grow together, that the biggest thing is, I always say, I refuse to live my life walking on eggshells. I want to teach my children to be bold, to speak, to risk, to dare, to show up for their friends, to show up for their causes, but also not to be afraid to mess up, because I mess up in all sorts of areas of my life all the time. And it's the way that I learn and grow. And I'm not afraid to be corrected. I'm not afraid of criticism. I want them to understand that it's important just to be present, because that's what matters right now, that we're teaching our young people how to turn up. And we're here talking about revelation and revolution. And what's really fun here is I think that it's also important to go, we need to practice what we preach. And that's what Boom is all about. Boom is showing up, and Boom is bringing these masters in who have been exactly like you said, Rory. You know how to be unemployed. You know how to be looking for work. You know how to be waiting for that phone call. And I think that that's equally as important in the development of an artist and a human being, is knowing how to sit gracefully in those off and silent spaces when you're not sitting under the spotlight. And I think that's the gift that you guys are bringing to the table. And it's so nice. Like I said before everybody joined us, I've got my Hamilton party going on. Wave, guys. and these are my girls' best friends here in Los Angeles. And, I wanted to include them to be part of this because, we don't just go around and campaign and throw things up on Facebook. Being active in a movement means getting out there and including people and creating opportunities that otherwise weren't there. That's what it means to be active. And that's what we're all doing right now. We know you're busy. We know that you're working very hard to try and line things up when all of this, comes to an end. But you stopped and you took your time to show up for us today. And I just want to, before we move a moment further, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart from everybody who's sharing with us today, just how important that is, because you are practicing what you preach. And I just thank you all for that. So, on that note, Austin.
Am I up?
What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm waiting. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
So I'm going to do a little my shot for you. Everybody who's listening,
come on
please,
around, y'all. Oh,
for all the parts
we
that
have you on the big screen TV. We've got popcorn. We got the whole thing going on here.
Amazing. Yeah, everybody at home that's listening in, please jump in on the parts that I don't sing because there are many. Let's do this. I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. I'm gonna get a scholarship to King's College. I probably shouldn't brag, but that got amazing, astonished. The problem is I got a lot of brains, but no polish. I gotta holler just to be heard, and with every word I drop knowledge. I'm a diamond in the rough, a shiny piece of coal trying to reach my goal. My power, speech unimpeachable. Only 19, but my mind is older. These New York City streets get colder. I shoulder every burden, every disadvantage I have learned to manage. I don't have a gun to brandish. I walk these streets famished. The plan is to fan this spark into a flame. But damn, it's getting dark, so let me spell out the name. My name is Elixa. We are meant to be a colony that runs independently. Meanwhile, Britain keeps shitting on us endlessly. Essentially, they tax us relentlessly. Then King George turns around, runs a spending spree. He ain't ever gonna set his descendants free. So there will be a revolution in this century. And to me, don't be shocked when your history book mentions me. I will lay down my life if it sets us free. Eventually, you'll see my ascendancy. And I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. It's time to take a shot.
Woo!
I don't know this. Go ahead. I'll cut it off there.
Woo! Woo! I was ready to oh. I had the whole room. Woo! Oh my gosh. Oh wow. How's that feel doing that again? Because I'd say it's like if you haven't been in the gym for 6 months.
Yo, it's been a minute, and I definitely forgot a word or two there because it's been cool 8 months, I think, since I've done that. But it's so cool, I haven't done it for 2 years. Like, it's fun to, it's there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start doing it, and you're just like, oh, that's right. I remember what this feels like, and it's a good time.
Oh, that's going to be what. So, are you tuning in to the live stream?
I'm sure I'll come in. I'll come and go. I'll probably pop in.
That's on the Disney Plus. We'll all just be hanging out watching that. Yeah, it's got to be strange when you guys are watching other people do what you did for so long.
Oh, well, that part isn't that weird. Yeah, I mean, Hamilton is like, the cool thing about Hamilton is because there's so many companies. Like Rory's saying, like, he's shared the stage with all of us, but it was like everywhere, right? Like, there are combinations of people where, like, even though like me, Julia, and Austin probably shared the stage like, I don't know, like 20 times or something, but like Rory and I, I guess, you don't really share the stage with anybody when you're the king. So it's kind of like we were on the stage in the Reynolds pamphlet together, probably, like 400 times or something. But it's just, it's funny, like there are so many, when you move companies and with the interchangeability of it, you know, it's like we see people do the same parts we also do, like all the time. I mean, yeah, that part is cool, because there are so many people who've played roles like Eliza or like whatever. We've all like experienced it from all different angles, which is cool.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I want to just step in. Emma, if you can unmute yourself, I think you had a great question to ask.
Hi, I asked two, so I don't know which one.
Where are you? We're
in Liverpool.
Welcome, Liverpool.
Come on, Liverpool.
Woo!
I believe y'all had a little something to celebrate last week, if I'm not mistaken.
We did. Yeah, don't say it too loud, otherwise firecrackers will start going off once people start hearing you.
Talk about global pause, hell freezing over, whatever happened, but Liverpool made it, right?
We did, finally.
It took a pandemic. Anyway, we'll leave that over here. Okay, so you had a question to ask.
I had two, so I don't know which one it was.
Let's see.
The gender one was a great one.
Okay, if you could, so this is just like anybody, if you could have played a character of the opposite gender, who would you have played?
I mean, who goes first, right? We all, I mean, I definitely
do it. Take it.
Right? Like, who doesn't want to be Angelica, to be like this strong woman in history who was, you know, even like, she had so much insight and so much wisdom, and then she gets to like sing and do Satisfied, and that's who I want to be. I mean, I don't know, does everybody have the same? I would think they do.
I mean, I think for the longest time my answer would have been Angelica, but the more I got to watch Julia and, you know, some of the other incredible actors that I got to see play Eliza, I really kind of fell in love with that character, and just like what can be done with it, and how strong she really was, and like, you know, the difficult choices that she made, and the ways that she just showed up for the revolution and her family, and, you know, herself just really inspired me. So I'd have to say Eliza.
I would
say Aunt Peggy. You know I have to.
I would play the Bullet, because that's my favorite.
Shut up.
It's coming, Hamilton. Coming. I know the choreography.
I thought you want to be Mariah.
Oh my God. Ryan, how about you?
Austin gave such a great Eliza answer, but that's always the answer I give too. It's like that, to me, Eliza is like what the show is about. It's about like coming in with a perception of something like American history that was told through certain eyes, and then all of a sudden you're seeing it told through different eyes, and now the actors are the historians, and who was the historian, the initial one who like documented and preserved all of this history that we all take for granted to even have. It's Eliza, and, you know, it's like, it's, you know, talk about legacy, and like, you know, how you sort of like what you leave behind and what carries forward after you, you know, it's like heavy stuff, but like that to me is what is the character that really embodies that, just in the nick of time at the very end of the show. The last like 3 minutes is like, this is, I am the moral, and you're like, whoa, you know. So I love that.
Amazing. Hey, Jillian West, just unmute. Hey.
Hi.
So she has a great question. I'm going to let you ask that question. It's very good.
I was wondering, do you see any parallels between the American Revolution that's depicted in Hamilton and the Black Lives Matter revolution that's happening in the world at the moment?
Who wants to take that? Thane, you have an answer there?
You know, it is really interesting. I mean, I'm sure that these guys sometimes can put things a lot more eloquently than I do. But it's been a really interesting thing to find the, you know, the civil differences that are happening, and, you know, curious, because you end up being, you know, I mean, I'm a Midwestern kid who I am surrounded by humans who are generally a little more, you know, they lean a little to a certain way. And so it's, so sometimes, which you know, everyone is allowed to think as they do and to feel, but you know, sometimes it is a challenge, because you start to see that there is a lot that we can do to be a voice in whatever aspect, right? A lot of times, something that you were speaking about, Mary, I thought was really beautiful, is allowing yourself to be strong and confident in whatever you feel and how you can assist and support. And I think that's really interesting and beautiful, because not everyone always feels that way. And then often, you know, I know for me personally, sometimes I'm like, man, what can I do? Like, how can I make a difference, or how can I spark something within somebody? And that can always start for anyone, even within your home, even within your closer proximities. And it's a matter of being willing to, you know, speak for truth and for hope and for a higher picture, you know?
Beautiful. Excuse me. I know one of the most poignant moments for me has been with this group here, all of our kids out here, that we not only marched on, we got a day where we got to march, and it happened to be my daughter Jada's birthday, and she went, wow, what a way to turn 16, where we marched for Black Lives Matter and Pride simultaneously. And you can't even, like, the streets of LA were thronged with people, and it was peaceful, and it was loving, and it was powerful, and it was transformative, and it was clean. Like, you could have eaten off the streets afterwards. It was just crazy. And the stuff that we were seeing on the news about what's actually happening, I'm going, am I in a different city? Because I have not had that experience at all. And so I just remember once when we were going down Hollywood Boulevard, and there's the giant, you know, the Hamilton poster is up, and it's like several stories high. And I remember, you know, marching past this thing and looking up and going, wow, because in my history, in my life, it's the first time I would have been able to have been that deeply ensconced in something with these hundreds of thousands of people all acting and calling out for change in the same time, in the same space, because I personally have never lived through a war. You know, have I seen systemic racism? Yes. Have I lived through that? Yes. Have I seen our friends in the LGBTQ community mistreated? Yes. I've seen those in pockets here and there. But on that day, when Black Lives Matter and Pride came, and we marched right past that giant Hamilton picture, I had a moment. I have to say, I had a moment. I was teary and verklempt and overwhelmed, and so honored to be part of that. So Austin, I'm going to throw it down to you there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just to chime in on that. I mean, it is definitely a revolution that we're living through. And, you know, one of the first things that come to my mind is Lawrence's part in My Showers, you know, rise up. When you're living on your knees, you rise up. Tell your brother that, you know, he's got to rise up. Like, it's very much that sense of, you know, seeing injustice, seeing oppression, and calling on everyone to come together and raise their voices, you know, to affect change. And I think that speaks, you know, there's definitely a parallel, I think, to be drawn between, you know, that general idea within the show and the idea now. And, you know, to take it further, I mean, I can think of a pretty clear parallel to King George. I bet a lot of y'all can too. So with Monsieur Trump. So I think there's
Sorry, there was a
plenty.
glitch in my computer. What was that?
Donald Trump is what I said. Yeah. But no, there's, I think that's one of the things that makes Hamilton really cool, is that while it is about a specific moment in history, it is also about this kind of very relatable, timeless sense of revolution and fighting oppression and fighting, you know, for justice. And
so do you think that has anything to do with, because this was actually the Disney Plus release of Hamilton was meant to be next year. So do you think the fact that they brought it forward to now was a decision made because of what's going on? What are your feelings about that?
I mean, I can't speak to that, you know, to their decision making, but I think, you know, there's a chance that played a part in it. I think also it's, you know, everyone is stuck at home for the most part, not everyone, but a large portion of the country. And so I think, you know, other people can chime in here, but I would imagine that they, you know, feel that rather than holding off and, you know, releasing it in theaters, which who knows when theaters will even open back up, it's, you know, it's a gift to, you know, to the people at home, I think, to help people just kind of get through, give them something to watch and enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Well said. So Rory O'Malley. Da, 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 da,
Yes.
da, da. Well, so yeah, are you going to do a little something for us?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll do, I'm going to sing my second favorite song on the show, which is my second song I sing in the show. I actually like the Three King songs. I like this one a lot just because it really resonates with me right now. It's what comes next. And obviously that's a question I ask every day in 2020.
Right.
What comes next?
Good choice.
You ready?
Take it away, sunshine.
All right. They say the price of my war's not a price that they're willing to pay. Insane. You cheat with the French, now I'm fighting with France and with Spain. I'm so blue. I thought that we made an arrangement when you went away. You were mine to subdue. Well, even despite our estrangement, I've got a small query for you. What comes next? You've been freed. Do you know how hard it is to lead? You're on your own. Awesome. Wow. Do you have a clue what happens now? Oceans rise, empires fall. It's much harder when it's all your call. All alone across the sea. When your people say they hate you, don't come crawling back to me. Da 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 ya da 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 ya da. You're on your own.
Brilliant. Yay, thank you.
I miss that so much. It's been so long since I've heard Rory do it. Oh my God.
Feel a little pang to the heart.
Yeah.
Julia, how is that for you when you hear that song?
Oh my God, just hearing Rory sing in general is one of my favorite things.
Julia knows I'm so obsessed with her voice. It's borderline stalkerish. She's one of the greatest singers. I think she's unbelievable. But you have to tell, I don't know if this is like out of order what you guys are going to be talking about, but Julia, you have to tell your debut story in Hamilton.
Please, it's been said. Too late. No going back.
Oh, it is truly one of the most amazing things I've ever witnessed in all my years of theater.
Traumatic is what it was. It's one of the reasons why anytime I would go on for Angelica, I would almost pee my pants. I was so nervous because the very first time, so I hadn't, I was only learning Eliza first, and then I jumped over to Peggy, and then I was on my last track, and I hadn't gone on for anybody yet. I think Emmy was out for a little bit, and our other cover was on, and I was learning Angelica because they were like, well, we want you to go on in the next week because I think like we're just gonna have to have you on at some point. So I started learning her track that week, and I think I got down to like the very end, and I'd never done a run through of the show as Angelica. I just finished blocking it that day, and then for some reason I was like, I've never tried these dresses on. I think I should just put the dress on. And it was a matinee. And they were like, yeah, you can just like walk around in your dressing room. And so I was like, the way that the swings and us all in the back, I guess, we kind of moved all of the costumes and everyone's stuff to the side so that we had this big space in the middle of our dressing room so that we can go over the show. So it was just me in there. playing with the skirt, trying to walk backwards and run and twirl and do whatever. And then during that intermission, or no, not intermission, during the, it wasn't even intermission.
During the show.
It was well before intermission.
This was still the first show. So I had just thrown it on because I just learned the show. And then for the matinee, I was like, I'm going to wear the skirt and try and figure this out. Then we go into the night show and I was like, you know what? I should probably learn the backstage traffic before I like go through my run through, which I was going to do in the next couple of days and actually finish running the whole show. So I'm backstage. I'm on one side of the stage. Carly DiNardo is on the other side of the stage, who was just brilliant and always there for me. She was our dance captain. And the girl comes off stage and she says, I think I lost my voice. And this is during my shot. And we're like, no, you're just nervous. You're fine. And I'm like, please, really, you're fine. You sound fine. You can still sing. It's great. She goes out there for Skylar Sisters, and her voice was completely gone. Like, didn't even come out. And we were panicking. And I remember looking across the stage from Carly. We're both in the wings on opposite sides. And she starts pointing downstairs. And I start sprinting downstairs. And there's like 6 people trying to get me ready. I didn't have makeup. I had nothing. They slapped a lip on me and put the mic on, put me in the thing. And I had to run out there during, like right before, what is that number? It wasn't Satisfied. It was right before, like Winter's Ball. Because once Angelica enters from there, she doesn't leave the stage until Satisfied. So I just remember running out, just being like, oh, no. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never run the show. I only know like each song and where I go, but I've never connected them. And it was terrifying. But
okay.
Adrenaline, I didn't have to like think the first show. It was the second show where I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I think like you had such an adrenaline rush. Who was like, this is show number 732. And I was like, this is the most exciting moment of my Hamilton life. And I watched you. It was unbelievable, you guys. She's kind of glossing over the fact that she had never been on stage with us. This was the first time she was on stage with the cast of Hamilton, and she didn't get like even an intermission. It wasn't like, oh, at the remainder of this performance, the role of Angelica will be played by Julia. It was like, go out there and maybe the audience will just go along with it. And she didn't just go on stage and like be in the background. She sang Satisfied, and it was unbelievable. And I mean, we were all crying and sobbing, and like it was a rush of adrenaline, and she saved the show. And it was just like, it was an unbelievable theatrical moment. And I tell anyone that story who will listen, because it was incredible. It was incredible. And it shows like when you have a standby who is doing the work backstage, they are the reason that we can continue to do the show 8 times a week, over and over. Every show you see on Broadway or anywhere, that show is being saved because somebody has worked so hard on their own to make sure that it can happen. And I love that story. She's incredible. Story.
And as you're talking about shows being saved, remember, guys, that this is actually a donation event right now. So if you can help us out to help these guys out, because we want them all fed, watered, and well for when Broadway opens back up again. And so they are doing this on behalf of their fellow actors, which I think is just absolutely fabulous. And we are deeply appreciative to be part of that. So please go to boommasterclass.com /donate. And even if it's a couple of bucks, it's great. It goes towards somebody. You never know what you're doing. You're helping someone make their rent, or you're getting medication that is crucial for their well-being. So we appreciate you being part of it that way. And this is what Boom does. We bring these things to you, but you know, this is a synergistic exchange. We're giving you the goods, and what we want is just a little bit of help back to help these guys maintain a way of life that will allow them to be able to show up for you as soon as everything is a go again. So Thane, I saw you nodding. Do you have memories of that event that Rory was talking about there?
No, I was just dying. I wasn't there because they was on tour, I imagine.
Oh, this was on tour.
Yeah, but
Got
in
it.
San Francisco.
oh, but I was just dying because like I can't imagine. I mean, when those types of things happen, and like a full dress and fully like you're not even ready. That's crazy. I love it.
I'm like, you just named your first book, Julia, Playing with the Skirt. I'm always looking for book titles. I'm an author, you know, so that's what I do. When I hear something, I'm like, that's your memoir, is Playing with the Skirt.
True. The craziest part though was like everything kind of fell into place as if the universe knew that this was going to happen, because I don't know why I asked to try on that skirt before, and thank God I did, or I would have fallen like I had many times after that. But still, it was like I'd never done that. And then between the two shows, they wanted to just get a mic check for the next week so that we didn't have to do that the next week. And so like everything kind of just was falling into place. So I had practiced doing the My Dearest Angelica line in the second act during Take a Break, because that was one thing that they didn't want to have to do when I was going through the show in the next week. So I got to do all these like little things just to be thrown on stage without any notice. It was crazy.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think we had Aurora. Can you unmute yourself there? Aurora had a good question.
Hi.
Hi.
Question.
Oh, Laura, my apologies.
My question was, how is it knowing that you're part of something so monumental?
Who wants to take that one? Ryan?
Sure. I mean, we sort of alluded to this before, right? But like Hamilton only gets more relevant. Like when the show opens, you have, you know, Barack Obama as president. We're celebrating diversity in America. We're celebrating the culture that allows us to create something like Hamilton. We're celebrating progress and everything that's coming, you know, and then we didn't change, you know, the show didn't change in 2016, but how it's perceived is always changing. And I'm not just framing it in terms of like Obama and Trump. I'm sorry if that sounds like that, but like every day there's something about a line in the show, something that is going to resonate with someone out there, and maybe the whole audience. If it's, you know, how many times now do we get a laugh on Quid Pro Quo in Room Where It Happens? Every single time there's like groaning and laughing, you know, because it's like it's become part of like the zeitgeist, and how it meets Hamilton in that same sort of zeitgeist is like a bizarre thing. So it's amazing is I guess the answer, because you're never going on stage and like trying to pull the moral out of something to apply it to that night's performance. Like you need not look too far to find something that will pump you up when you say, immigrants, we get the job done. Or as you're dancing in the Battle of Yorktown, knowing what these people thought they stood for and the commitment that they had, you know. So it's like, it's amazing. And the other cool part of that is like what we were talking about earlier a little too, I think, is that fact that people's view of American history is often non-existent, and if they do have it, it's kind of like a vague telling of the main sort of figures, and Hamilton obviously challenges that in like every way. So for me, I feel like it's a responsibility if I'm playing one of these roles. Like I feel like I'm more of an influential like historian on a lot of the kids in the audience than like they have had, because they're just kind of getting like a basic understanding, and then they see this, you know, amazing artistic thing that's really, I mean, how many kids know every lyric to Hamilton? It's amazing. It's really sticking. And so when they go to see the show or they listen to the album, that's their authority on the topic. Like you really can't deny it, you know. And it's like, and no kind of like, you know, watered down American history curriculum like is gonna take the place of that in someone's mind. So I feel like it's a responsibility to challenge people in the show as an actor, because like you're an influence on everybody out there.
Thank you, Laura. Great question. Thane, I'm going to pop over to you because we had a patient, or a patient, sorry. My head went to doctor mode for a sec. A patient. We had somebody who was watching on Facebook Live at the moment talking about the Seabury character. And I think that just really piggybacks on what you just said, Ryan, because, you know, this is a lesser known character. an important part of history. Talk to us a little bit about that, and about why it's so important to kind of bring these names forward.
Yeah, so Samuel Seabury is somebody I'd never heard of. I mean, I'm sure most people hadn't beforehand. So it was really an exciting, thing for me to get to explore and to learn that he was the first Episcopal bishop of the U.S. And and I kind of love too that I've always seen him. He's somebody who's like, stay loyal to the king, stick with the king, and gives a great moment for Hamilton to finally start to show his knowledge and his nature to want to go against that and to revolutionize, and so I get to play this bad guy. It's funny, I once had this meet and greet with a boy and his mom, and he was maybe 10, and he was like, "Who do you play in the show?" And I was like, "Samuel Seabury." He's like, "Oh, I hate him," and I was like, it's kind of fun because it's like,
you never get that, do you?
Well, it was. But it was just great to get to play this part of a man who's, representing a lot of America and humans who might, be in that aspect where they're saying like, stick to this, stay loyal to this, be with this, stick to what you know. And so it's a great thing for the rest of America to see, Hamilton, who became, a hero in a way that he decided, no, let's fight against this. Let's find like, how do we become independent? And yeah, it's been a cool experience, and it's been fun to get to play, with Lynn and all the people, with Ryan and Austin. And, I love how different each of them would play it on stage too. Cause they all vary in their nature and in their energy. And that's always been fun.
Mm-hmm. And Austin, as we follow that vein, when we're talking, and the lyrics are popping out, and you've got kids who are hearing this for the very first time, and they're like, "First Black Battalion, sorry, what?" Do you know? How does that feel when you know that you're part of delivering information to a group of kids who've been taught a history that literally didn't happen the way that they've been taught? Right. And that you're in there, and when we're talking about dropping knowledge, you're literally dropping knowledge about something that is brand new to these kids who are coming up, who are getting history in a whole different way because of Hamilton.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. I mean, before I did this show, I knew very little about American history other than just kind of like the general baseline stuff that everyone is taught. I didn't even know who Alexander Hamilton was. I don't even think I realized he was the guy on the $10 bill, to be honest. And now I get messages from 13, 14-year-old fans giving me a history lesson. Like talking as though they are like these professors of history. They know so much because, and like they'll tell me like, yeah, I'm on the last like fourth of the Chernow book. It's a little dry, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm like, you're 12 years old. Like, I barely even was able to get through that book. I don't even know if I did. I think I got to the last fourth and I gave up. It was like they got inspired by the story, and then they actually go and they research it further. And I just think that's so incredible to be a part of something that like sparks an interest in history and in, just like, not even just history, like activism and all the ways in which I've seen, people tie in Hamilton to their activism or to their, to desire to get out there and protest and affect change and all this. And it's just, it's really cool. It's really cool.
It is. It's pretty incredible. All right. And what I think is so fun about it is that each of us, we're all a variety. We've got Ella on here, who's 11. And then we've got Mama Helen. Hello, Mom. Who's 91, and all of us in between. And what's so interesting is that each of us is bringing something so unique and so special to the table about our unique perspective about history. Austin, I've never lived in your shoes. You've never lived in mine. These kids are looking and going, well, this is what my experience is. And that's why, when I look at my group of kids in here, my 4 in here who are the besties, and that they're really getting to share their personal experiences about what life is like in Ireland, what's it like in Watts in LA, and that they're intermingling and learning about one another this way. And that I think kind of our group, like Julia, Ryan, we're in that bridge. We've got one foot in this world and one foot in this world. And, Austin, how honest of you to say that you didn't even know who he was before, but boy, you know who he is now. But that wasn't your job. Your energy was to bring something different to the table than just
having all of that knowledge, and you learned and you grew through that process. And who knew it, it turns you into this amazing, you're always present. You're always on Instagram. I see you constantly promoting. It wasn't just a cause for you that died out in a week's time. This is, you're there, you're in for the long haul, you're teaching. And who knew you would be used this way, that the universe would see fit to educate you in amongst your peers and of all of your different experiences in such a way that you are sitting here affecting great change on these kids that are sitting in this apartment with me here in LA. That's just powerful stuff, y'all. And Rory, you know what, people, because of the work that I do, and I'm always talking about life after death and about, metaphysical healing, and I'm on a stage, inevitably somebody always asks me the Hitler question, always. I'm not talking about Hitler. I could be talking about Hamilton. I could be talking about whatever. And someone's going to go, how could you talk about souls coming in and sharing a plan and everybody playing a role as important when you've got folks like Hitler who affected such horrible change? And I'm going, yeah, but there was so much beauty that evolved out of that person's presence on the planet as well. Do I despise the person? Sure. But the beauty that was birthed out of his presence is where my focus and attention is, because you are what you love, and what you love is what you give your attention to. And so for you, Rory, to play a character that is so, simultaneously, the duality of you and your character is just so fab, because, we're like, boo, we hate you. But you're so fabulous at the same time, and it brings up this plethora of emotions. So what was it like for you playing a character that way?
It was a lot of fun to play the bad guy for me, because I'm used to playing Richie Cunningham and people who aren't as scandalous or moody even. So I loved getting to play with the audience, because my entire performance, my scene partner is the audience, and it is it's me talking to the people of America at that time, but also in the present day. So when I got to sing to them What Comes Next after the election day of 2016, you better believe that my scene partner had a different performance that night. My scene partner in Hamilton constantly is switching up their performance based on what's going on outside of our theater. And it has been a huge gift and an acting challenge for me to stay engaged and ride the wave and to be present with the audience, because that's why we do theater, so that they can always have a new experience every single night, depending on what's happening or who's in the theater. So it's really one of the greatest jobs I've ever had in my life, for many reasons, but certainly a specific acting challenge. And he's awful, but he's also he has a lot of fun, especially in the Reynolds pamphlet when I'm dancing with Ryan.
I remember, Rory, when you specifically had a scene partner in the audience, and you had such a different fire and energy. I'm sure you remember. It was amazing to watch. Like off stage, I was like, whoa! Like it was night and day. It was so fun.
Yeah, it was.
Do tell.
I think what Thane's referring to is a week after the election, when the vice president-elect came to the show, and it was certainly a very different night of Hamilton, because you had the election, and it was scary for a lot of people, and certainly for a lot of people of color and people who are gay like myself, of what's going to happen. And then just a few days later, Vice President Pence was there. And so it just, like when you're singing a song called What Comes Next, you know how hard it is to lead. It just sounds different when everyone knows. And it doesn't matter really if it had been Hillary Clinton who had just won the election and was there. Like, everyone's going to have a different experience, because there is an elected official who has the weight of the world literally just passed along to them. And to have the king just kind of go, nah, 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 you're screwed, to somebody who just won a national election was a lot. It was a lot for everyone, no matter where you come from. or what you think. So, but that is the gift of Hamilton. That it is alive, and like Ryan was saying, like it is completely becomes more and more relevant, and it becomes more and more relevant because of the artistry of the work that was done, and also because of the way that people are accepting it and choosing to see the world through the lens of this piece of art. And that's such a beautiful thing for art in general, to see that that art can really express so much. And we're lucky to be a part of this really cool project.
Absolutely. And Ryan, you've played so many characters. What would you have in that vein? Who would be a favorite for you, of a character that maybe previously would have been misunderstood in history, or not even acknowledged for the actual contributions? What really touched you as far as characters that you had the chance to play?
Well, I think like that's like the whole premise of the show, really, is that you're coming in with this idea that, like Austin said, right, you don't know a whole lot about Hamilton. You know that he's on the money, and maybe you know something vaguely about the banks or whatever, but you for sure know that he's a founding father, which means in our education that he's like an American hero, and he's perfect, and he did all these amazing things, and nothing could have gone wrong. And the same thing about Thomas Jefferson and all of these other people. The one person that the bad thing about is Aaron Burr, that he killed Hamilton. He's the villain. That's what and so that is fun. That role is really fun to play, because while the others are fun for sort of the chance to, like, I mean, George Washington is a separate thing, right? But like, Hamilton is portrayed, you walk in and people think he's the hero. So people are like all eyes on you, always laughing at the funny stuff you do. Like, it's this very charming, high energy role. It's like, and then to deteriorate from that, like in the eyes of the audience, and they're fighting against it. You can tell, like, even during something like Quiet Uptown, it's like, you can tell that the audience, one of the coolest things about Hamilton is when there's no applause after Quiet Uptown. It's like this kind of just like hush. Eliza and Hamilton walk off, everybody puts their head down, and sometimes the audience will just live in that moment, and then it really pays off with that "can we get back to politics" joke. But when that happens, like, I always think, like, damn, like, they're still hanging on and like confused about how to feel about this person, like he's still not getting like booed off the stage. It's like there's still this element, because our beliefs are so strong in that. And you've seen so many flaws and all this stuff, and Aaron Burr is the same way. The whole time you're fighting against, the whole time you're like, I'm so charming. The audience is still like, I don't know, but like, he killed our favorite character. It's like, it's tough. And not that he wasn't a flawed person, but it's like, I think that really leaning into that about Hamilton is so cool. I think people should leave and think like, wow, I want to learn more about Thomas Jefferson, because it doesn't sound like he was that great of a guy. And it's like, Being a
Virginian, you want to talk about a boom moment for me. And my sister had already seen the show, and she was like, I'm not telling you anything. And, and she goes, all I'm going to say is you're going to love this. And so I walk in, and my mom is there with us, and, you're starting to see Thomas Jefferson, who did all the school trips and spent all this time at his home, and we learned all the really cool, fun things that he did. And I remember seeing him from such a different light after that. And that's not a good or a bad thing. It's a thing. He's a human being, and he played a role, But I remember having such a major mind shift after that. And of course, in our performance, I mean, it was classic, out walks Thomas Jefferson, and he's Black. It was such a moment. It was just, the audience was just like, yes! And it was such a group participation thing where people were going, oh my gosh, I am literally unlearning in front of your eyes, and you guys are creating the opportunity for me to do that.
And you hope that continues after the show is, I think, the point, because I think, all it takes is like a Google search of Sally Hemings, and I think that it wasn't good or bad, it's bad. It's like, and I think that's important to know too. So it's like, the less invincibility we can give to anybody we are seeing right now is good. The more invincible one person is, one leader, one part of the government or a branch of public life, not good. We need to all be thinking that way, that everyone is just a person.
Everyone is just a person. Yeah. And I think, Julia, you did such a, it's such a beautiful role to be in, where you're talking about a union, a marriage, a partnership, and you're having to go into that space each time you do this performance of, transcending forgiveness. And you take an audience from bypassing, you go straight past that and into understanding of what your role is and how you can monument change, how you can implement an actual change through this character.
Yeah, I don't know how she did it. It's kind of unreal because I guess the show is however long, 2.5 to a little over that, 3 hours, I don't know. So you don't really get all the years in between. So jumping from one scene of being heartbroken, just completely down and heartbroken, into forgiving him, and then into telling his story and sharing his legacy and making sure that everybody knows the good that he did. It's baffling. I don't know how that woman did that or how she was so incredible. I can't say that I would be as understanding. But yeah, doing something like that every night, and it really, for me personally, I learned something different about her, about Eliza, every single night. And a lot of it comes from audience members and talking to them after the show and what they take from the show that they just saw. And every single night it's completely different. But the one thing is that she's just, it's her love for him and for what he was doing is just so great, that she's just.
Well, I think in her character we see Lynn's genius, and it's not always the people that we look up to, the people that we aspire to be. It doesn't mean that they were perfect in every moment. It means that they were always trying. And I think the way that he writes that into those characters of going, you've got flawed human beings who are really, really broken, and yet they're still trying to come together and do something magnificent. And I think the way that he was able to write that in was pretty phenomenal. So Rory, I know that you've got to get scooting. So we have a quiz. And so do you want to ask some of a couple of your quiz questions, or one of them anyway, before you have to scoot out?
Absolutely, yeah. Let me ask this quiz question. Which state does the duel between Philip Hamilton and George Eaker take place? Which state does the duel between Philip Hamilton and George Eaker take place?
Who knows the answer?
Who answers?
Ella popped in first. Ella, put your hand up so everybody can see you. You want to unmute yourself.
New Jersey. New Jersey.
Yeah.
Girl. That's Ella.
Everything is legal in New Jersey.
Brilliant. And do you have time for one more? Or are you going to?
Yeah, I got one more question here. Who does Hamilton's dog speak more eloquently than?
Ooh. Who? You know?
Looks like Madison Moore was first.
Oh. Yeah, Madison Moore. Where are you? Unmute yourself.
Hi.
And your answer?
Samuel Seabury.
That's
right.
Thane himself.
Although it's not true.
Oh my gosh. Well, listen, Rory, I know that you've got to scoot, so I don't want to hold you, but I want to thank you so much for being part of us. We're going to carry on in your honor.
Thank you all so much for including me for this great cause. I love these performers so much. I miss you guys. Truly, truly getting to spend any time with you for a great reason is such a gift. Thank you so much for having me. Everyone stay safe.
Da 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 da
da da da da da da da da. Okay, I gotta go take care of my toddler.
Bye. Thank you. Oh my God, it's like when you found all of your weird people all at once, Okay. Thane, how about a quiz question from you, darling?
Yes. So my first quiz question was, how many Tony nominations did Hamilton receive in 2016?
2016, guys. 2016.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do I?
8.
8?
Ah.
Devin, are you unmuted?
I'm here. Sorry, I thought it was 8. Probably not, but that was my guess. All right.
Okay. From Madison, we'll just 16 or 10. 2016. Anybody? Anybody? Go, get it. Jillian.
16.
16. 16. Tony.
Woo!
Awesome.
Deserved every single one of them.
Deserved every single one. Absolutely.
Hey, Thane, do you know how many Tony nominations Waitress got in 2016? And do you know how many we won? You can answer the second one first.
That's a great question, Ryan.
Joe Collins and ask her.
Anybody can answer, but I'd like Thane to answer.
Well, I feel like I don't remember them winning any.
Them. They did not. I was at the Tonys the same year as Hamilton, but with a different show called Waitress, and it was basically the Hamilton coronation party. We just like chilled and watched Hamilton win all these awards. It was amazing. It was truly the most amazing night because it was like this thing that we all wanted to celebrate so much, and we were like, I was like, I hope this just wins everything, and we just launch into this next era of theater making and everything, and we did. So hell yeah.
Wow.
Okay. I loved Waitress.
Oh my gosh. You got another question?
Me?
Ryan, do you have any more, or Thane?
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, sure. I have one here. When did Lin-Manuel begin writing Hamilton?
Anyone? Jada, do you know that one?
I'm not even sure.
Do you know when it was released? She's saying 9 years. Jada says 9 years before, or Gemma says 9 years before the release.
Madison says 2008 to 2009. And it was 2009.
All right.
Nice.
Way to go, Madison.
Wow, busy year for him. Wasn't that when In the Heights came out?
Yeah, he started really much right after he
Dude
opened
needs to
In the Heights.
chill.
It was when his portal opened.
Yeah, he needs to chill. That's too much.
As if he could. Julia, have you got a question there for our quizzers?
I don't see any questions.
Oh.
Not
I
sure.
didn't
One
get
second.
to say something the same.
Austin and I don't have questions.
I'm over here trying to think of something.
We're like, where are the questions coming from?
They were sent way back in the chat, so hold on.
Oh my goodness.
I can ask one while you're looking. So So another question is, when and where did Hamilton premiere off Broadway?
Madison?
The Public in 2015.
That's right.
All right.
And I've been sticking around the whole time. Isn't that crazy? Since 2014, I'm still there.
Are you?
Oh my gosh.
I'll make one up here.
Do it. Go.
Who wrote the autobiography that inspired Lynn to write the show?
Jada's like, I've got the book. What's that guy's name? Ella's running to get her copy. Did you see this?
Madison already got it up. That was a fast finger.
Boom.
Oh, there it is.
Ron Chernow.
Ron
There it
Chernow.
is. Come on, Madison.
Good.
I give up. Madison, you got this.
Yeah, Madison wins. So how about, I think we've got Thane and Austin. Are you guys going to do a duet for us?
We do. And it's going to be shared in just 1 second. So everyone pause for a second, please. Here we go.
My name is Samuel Seabury, and I present three thoughts on the proceedings of the Continental Congress. Heed not the rabble who scream revolution. They have not your interest at heart. Oh my God, Taylor's doing the part. Chaos and bloodshed are not a solution. Don't let them lead you astray. This Congress does not speak for me. Let him be. They're playing a dangerous game. I pray the King shows you his mercy. For shame, for shame.
Yeah, he'd have you all unravel like the sound of screams, but the revolution is coming back.
Your interest
It's hard to listen to you with the straight face. Chaos and bloodshed already. Honestly, you shouldn't even talk. And what about Boston? Look at the cost and all that we've lost. If you talk
this
about
Congress does not speak
my dog speaks more eloquently than
me. Dangerous,
strangely on
I pray the King shows you his mercy. For shame.
Suit yourself again. I'm gonna scream honestly. Look at me. Please don't leave. Don't modulate the key, then not debate with me. Why should a tiny island across the sea regulate the price of tea?
Thank you very much.
I should drop decisive, drop the nicety.
Silence! A message from the King. A message from the King. A message from the
Amazing.
Yes, Austin, I love the drama.
One of my favorite lines. Don't modulate the
Well
key,
done.
not debate with me. Oh my gosh, how fun.
Miss getting to do that with you thing.
I know, Austin. I mean, we haven't been able to do it much with Miguel because I can't remember when he started, but it hasn't been that long. But
Right.
yeah, Austin. When you were talking about Mary, if you were to be in the shoes of Austin, Austin has big shoes, you guys. I used to hit them all the time with the box when I would come on. And he was like, and I was like, oh, sorry, shoot.
It became like an every show thing. We'd check in afterwards, like, did I hit your shoe? And I'm like, I don't think so, but maybe it's just like I'm used to it now. I don't know. But then I'd spit on you sometimes too. So
I know.
It was back and forth thing.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Julia, when you watch that, what I find is interesting, like the character that you would play, there's, Eliza we see a bit of a playful side in the very beginning, but everything that you do is just so serious, And when you're watching the banter and play that gets to happen between those, do you ever, as a performer, during that show ever kind of crave that, or do you get enough of that behind the scenes we just don't see it?
Well, for me personally, the first act of Eliza, not the first act, probably up until through Helpless, she does have a very fun, almost childlike vibe about her because she still is very, very young and she's falling in love with someone and she's, in Skylar's sister with her sister. So I feel like during that scene specifically, I always had a lot of fun playing off of my sisters that I was, whoever I was standing up there with, which is normally Peggy, and we would kind of riff off each other, and it was kind of like a gossip time and checking out the drama. So for me personally, I never really played her that serious until after she falls in love and is with child and,
right,
when everything starts getting a little real.
Nice balance.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, guys, just want to remind you, and for our friends who are watching live on Facebook, welcome to our Hamilton party. And this is this is serving a purpose as well as just bringing you ultimate joy and all the Hamilton feels. This is also for donation, which is at boommasterclass.com and /donate. And what we're doing is we've partnered with these wonderful people who are coming in here and sharing their experiences and their talents in order to allow us to create an opportunity for you to donate in order to help keep our friends on Broadway, Hollywood, West End alive during this very difficult time, because, you know, their bread and butter is being on stage and performing, and that is not happening right now. So we're trying to show them the love that they have shown us over the years and dedicating their talents and sharing so freely with us. And so we want to be there, and it's all about turning up. So please go on, even if it's a couple of bucks, just go click donate and help us keep our friends in the acting and performing arts industry afloat during this time. And we appreciate you being here with us.
Just to add in there, I'm not sure if you said the actual like organizations that it's going to, but just want to make sure it's clear it's not going like into our pockets. It's going into BCEFA and AERF.
BCEFA, I know, I just got the note there.
Yeah,
BCEFA and AERF. And so these are organizations that are wonderful in supporting those who are in the performing arts. And these guys are sharing their time with us in order to help get these donations to where they need to be. So this is something they're doing off their own back, out of their own kindness, and in support of their fellow actors, because as Rory said to us before, he knows how to be an out of work actor. And so what we're doing is we're trying to keep everybody lifted up and afloat during this time. And so we thank you for that. Hey, Ryan, how's it going there?
It's good. How are you? We're wrapping up here pretty soon. Is it time for me to sing? Is that the deal?
Wait for it.
All right. Let's hit it. Theodosia writes me a letter every day, keeping the bed warm while her husband is away. He's on the British side in Georgia. He's trying to keep the colonies in line. Well, he can keep all the Georgia. Theodosia, she's mine. Love doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes, and we keep loving anyway. We laugh and we cry and we break and we make our mistakes. And if there's a reason, I'm by her side, and so many have tried. I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait for it. My grandfather was a fire and brimstone preacher. There are things that the homilies and hymns won't teach you. My mother was a genius. My father commanded respect. When they died, they left no instructions, just a legacy to protect. Death doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes, and we keep living anyway. We rise and we fall and we break and we make our mistakes. And if there's a reason I'm still alive when everyone who loves me has died, wait for it. I am the one thing in life I can control. I am inimitable, I am an original. I'm not falling behind or running late. I'm not standing still, I am lying in wait. Hamilton faces an endless uphill climb. He has something to prove, he has nothing to lose. Hamilton's pace is relentless, he wastes no time. What is it like in his shoes? Hamilton doesn't hesitate, he exhibits no restraint. He takes and he takes and he takes, and he keeps winning anyway. Changes the game, plays and he raises the stakes. And if there's a reason he seems to thrive when so few survive, then God damn it, I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait for it. Life doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes.
Hey!
Oh wow!
Oh my God!
Woo! Ooh.
Good music.
The way
You can't
the
deny
way
it's good music.
the way you sing that though, man,
Beautiful
is just
performance.
incredible.
Oh
I
my
was
God!
feeding my dog treats the whole time so she wouldn't bark. She always barks when I sing.
Oh look!
See, sweet girl. You say hi or no?
Barking out of joy.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh!
yeah,
I have
something
literally
like that.
I'm covered in goosebumps. Whew.
I'm
What
a
a
goosebump.
You are a goosebump.
I'm a goosebump.
Thank you so much for
Okay,
doing that.
bye,
That was
Angel.
just incredible. Was anybody else just kind of like paralyzed and mesmerized all at the same time? Wow. Absolutely. Yeah, so just real quick, tell us what it meant to you to what does that song mean to you?
You know, it's funny that we're in this period of intense activism and we're all talking about it like throughout the night. You know, Burr's character is notably passive. That's kind of like the contrast that they really try to draw. Hamilton, like he's running out of time, right? Nonstop. It drives Burr crazy. It's like, and Burr is the Princeton graduate. Like Burr is the cis straight white male, right? Like he is the person who has had all of these things afforded to him because of his station, where he, you know, when and where he was born and into what family. And it's like, yeah, he goes to Princeton, he gets his education at an Ivy League school. He you know, immediately then, you know, being in the military was like, that was the job you wanted. And so he immediately is I forget the exact position, but you know, he walks into these positions of privilege, you know, and like he has the privilege to wait. He's looking at all these people, you know, protesting outside and all this stuff, and he's like, oh man, like I hope somebody does something about this. This is just too much. It's like, you got to get your hands dirty if you want these things to change. And it's funny because I think that Burr doesn't, you know. A really funny thing about Burr, it's glazed over in the show, but he invented this type of campaigning, openly campaigning. It was totally looked down upon. The fact that you would promote yourself was said to be like for somebody who was weak to do. Your ideas spoke for themselves, and you went out and you met the people, and that would be impossible in you know, a country of hundreds of millions of people. But like, it's pretty. That's a pretty like interesting thing, right? Because look what it's become. It's impossible to get somebody to listen to one sentence about a candidate because it's just like, I don't know, I just don't really like his energy, you know, or like whatever. It's like, wow, like it's really hard, you know, like you could have a beer with him, you know. And I think in the coffee table book, that line, the note about that line is like, can you believe that we once lived in a time where having a beer with the president made you like want to vote for him or something? And I'm like, how quaint, you know. So it's like, it's hard to embody that song. It's like, you got to put yourself in that place of somebody who just doesn't care, who's like, if I can just escape life, you know, still on top, like, then I won, you know. And that's his whole thing. And he gets passed by somebody who works harder than him, and he's like, but you're an immigrant, you came from this, you know, like I was supposed to be there. And it's like, that's not, you know, that was the one example of that not being how it worked, you know. But the more we're seeing that, the more we're seeing those people who were happy to coast. And so it's funny, like,
talk less, smile more.
Exactly. I mean, like, sound familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, talk less. Yeah. The talk less, smile more candidate of the day could actually talk a lot less for my liking, but yeah, so. Talk never would be dope as well.
All right. Devin asks, as a swing understudy, alternate cover, what are some challenges you face in switching characters who are such important people in history and working to develop their different characteristics?
Yeah, so I'll sort of pivot away from like my ranting, but what's cool, you know, what we talked about with Hamilton is like, Hamilton is like this network of actors who have all done the show in San Francisco or on Broadway or on the West End, and all these people are sort of being traded around like throughout. So when you're a cover, there's an element of that, but you know, like someone like, you know, the Hamilton that was on our tour prior to Austin, Michael Luoye is his name. He was a standby on Broadway and then assumed the role of Hamilton on our tour and then on Broadway. So it's like, it's interesting because while he was in that Broadway company, he left to go assume the role full time, and then he came back to the Broadway company to assume the role the full time. It's like, there's always different stimuli like being thrown at you and always different actors and stuff. So like, it's cool because then you're getting the individuality of each person in those characters. And so when new people are on, or new people, or you're playing, you know, 2 different roles in one day, which like happens all the time, and you're like doing the matinee for somebody and then you're somebody in the evening, and it's like, how will I, you know, it's like, just be, the cool thing about Hamilton is like, you're supposed to imbue your individuality into it. So you can just like start from the basis of like, what do I bring to this particularly, be it like your humor or like your voice or like whatever it is, you know. And it's like, how can I just plug in and apply myself to this, as opposed to like, what was this character like, and is he this, you know. It's like the words do so much of it for you. Just being able to like plug in and kind of play to your strengths and do it is, I think, by virtue of the fact that you are you, it will be different, you know.
Jane, how about you?
Uh,
Unmute thyself.
What'd you say?
I said unmute thyself.
No, I think like Ryan's just saying, you know, the best. I mean, I don't really know much more to add other than, you know, what he's saying, because it's true. It really has. It's been beautiful to see. Even Ryan, like he was talking about Michael Oy, how he did that. And Ryan came back. He was off. He had left the show. You were still gone, right? I don't think you were on contract anymore.
Yeah, no, it's when I took like a leave of absence in the fall to go do another show, and came back to the Tuesday performance after Austin left, of like assuming the role as Hamilton for like 6 weeks. But it's just like, and I hadn't done the show in months. I did a whole nother show during that time, a whole rehearsal tech production of a show. And then they're just like, will you come back and do this? And you're just like, yeah, it's in there. It's so good. It's hard to forget it because it's just great. You're not trying to like force yourself to memorize something that doesn't make sense, but it is hilarious how much the sort of interchangeability aspect of it.
Yeah, and like what Ryan was saying, I mean, because you know, I was really lucky to be able to be with Hamilton when they were doing the lab in January 2014, you know, and we did the first lab that was ramping up to where it is now, and I remember just all we did was learn music, and the music was incredible, and getting to work with all of these incredible artists, and I would leave singing the songs. And you know, it's funny because as you start to do it for a long time, you start to forget, but it's been a beautiful show, hence that's why I'm still here, you know. Was there before COVID.
And will be again.
Yes.
Julia, somebody on Facebook was asking, was there ever a point when you were in and you had a moment that you can remember where you like had a blooper or a mess up? And I don't know why they're asking specifically for you to answer this one.
You've come to the right place.
Or anybody can answer this too.
I'm pretty sure this happened on every song.
Afraid to mess up?
Yes, this happens quite a lot for me. Why? I don't know. You kind of go into this white room. I don't know if it's the same for all of you guys, and you feel like you're there for hours, but really the show is on a click track, and it has to keep going. So you can't be there for more than like 30 seconds at least. And for me, I have been there for an entire 30 seconds. Probably the last one, the biggest one, oh, there's so many. But I think my favorite one was the very, very opening, my first line. When he was 10, his father split full of it, that written. Yeah, that didn't come out. I don't know what I said. I scattered my way through the entire beginning. And I remember just staring at one of our cast members like, this is what is happening. Help me. But they just look back at you and start laughing. So Yeah, it definitely happens. It's terrifying, but the funny thing is, it's like I constantly am so worried about that happening. And once it does happen, I'm like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And the funniest thing is, like, I put so much pressure on myself, but when I go and I see a live performance, when they mess up, it makes that experience even better, because you're like, well, this is why we came to see them do this live, because they're people just like us, and we make mistakes, and it's not perfect. No show is perfect. But yeah.
Brilliant. You must have handled it eloquently.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't. I handled it. It was handled.
Austin, I remember when we were doing the one of your master classes, and that question came up because, with the amount of dialogue, you're like at lightning speed. And I remember that same question came up for you, like when you're rapping something and you're like, and you skip, or you're like suddenly, oh, this person is dead, but they're actually not yet. And I've just skipped ahead 5 scenes. I remember you having to talk to our kids about what was actually happening in your own head during that space. What's that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, White Room is a great way to explain it. I think another way I've also described it is, it's like you jump on this train, this fast moving train at the beginning of the show, and that train is going to keep going with or without you. So sometimes, you fall off that train and it's going to keep going. So you got to try and run alongside of it to hop back on. And, it has happened to every single person multiple times, I'm sure, but I've definitely had some interesting moments. I had one show, my last show on tour before I came to join on Broadway. I don't know if I was just like emotional because I was leaving this company that I loved, or that I was just like, that I had checked out early. I don't know what had happened, but literally like every other song I was dropping a line. And it just got to this point where I was like, I just got to get through. I just got to do my best to stay present, to focus on the people around me and my intention, and just keep going. But, some shows, or, some moments you just fall off, and you just do your best to keep it going.
And for all aspiring actors, he's telling you about that great big screw up, and guess what? He's originating a role in a brand new musical on Broadway.
Well, that's important, right? That's one of the reasons why I love to talk about it, because it's not the end of the world. Like, everyone is human. We're human. And like, everyone messes up, everyone, whatever. And it's how you recover. It's how you, keep going even after, after the mess ups and everything. Like, that's really all that matters at the end of the day.
Well, guys, this has been absolutely amazing. And what I would like to leave everybody with is, I want to go through, Ryan, I'm going to start with you. I want your favorite Hamilton moment. I'm sure there are many of them, but just give us one nugget.
Yeah. My favorite Hamilton moment is before I was in the show. I mentioned that I was at the same Tonys as Hamilton when I was doing Waitress, and that was the day of the Orlando Pulse nightclub shooting, the day of the Tonys. And so what they ended up doing, Hamilton was doing the Battle of Yorktown, and they decided to not perform with the muskets. They decided to just mime the muskets and do the whole battle without it. And it features the guns heavily, like, people are like spinning with them above their heads. It's like an image that's sort of like synonymous with the show at this point. But I hadn't heard any of the music. I hadn't seen anything from Hamilton, and I went around the corner. I was like, I can't miss this moment. And I went and watched it and like saw the first run without the guns, and I just like lost my mind. It was just like it was like seeing this thing. They played the intro of it, and it was the Obamas were introducing it. I mean, it was just transcended theater in this way that was like, wow, we were just we were entering like a new era of celebrating theater, of celebrating diversity, everything. And it was just what that represented, and like the awareness to be like, let's actually do this number in this way tonight of all nights, like was like, no other shows were thinking about that. Like, so it was awesome.
That was a cool moment when we got to do that. I remember, our director came up to us and he was like, hey, so there's, the shooting at Pulse that happened, and we're not going to use the guns. And it was such an inspiring moment to be like, wow, cool. We're part of something where we want to have a strong voice for that. That was really beautiful to be in too. So I know what Ryan's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Give us another sane favorite.
Yeah, I know. There's so many that sometimes I'm like, how do I answer which one? Because
focus on one, give it to us.
Because it's been incredible, like getting to go to the White House to perform, and I think Ryan's even heard I remember when Michelle Obama came to the show, we were off Broadway at the Public. And that to me has always stood out as this crazy moment where I was like, whoa, like the First Lady is coming here. This show is like affecting the world and the nation. And she came and we were off Broadway. It's a small theater, maybe seats 200 or so. And the stage, when you're on the stage, people are sitting and it's like, if I was here, here's the stage. So you're this close, the front row. And I walk out on stage, I'm like, after, Burr, Lawrence, Madison, Jefferson, after they are at Lafayette, after they first go, then I'm like the next guy that walks out. I'm like, word got around. They said, this kid is insane. So I walk out and then I see Secret Service everywhere in the theater. And I was like, what's happening? And then they hadn't told us that she was there. So I'm just seeing Secret Service all over on the stage, in the audience. And then somebody later told us that Michelle Obama was there. And to me, it felt like, I think she was wearing white, but I really can't remember. But in my mind, it was white because it was just like glowing and shining, like singing, from her seat. And it was beautiful. So that was inspiring. Then she's like, we got to get him here. I'm like, you're talking about bringing the president? We just got to get him here, the president? I was like, okay. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Incredible. How about you, Julia? We're going from bloopers to favorite moments.
Again, I have so many favorite moments, but I think the experience of getting to be in Puerto Rico and performing with Lynn was something I will never forget, because just being where we were and having him step out on stage and having to wait a minute for the audience to cool down, and then we could start the show. It was unreal.
Yeah, I could actually... I can feel it. Another goosebumps moment. All right, Austin, bring it home. How about you?
I have an interesting thing actually comes to mind because it was a moment that was actually not so great in the moment, but it's one of my favorite and most memorable moments because it just speaks to the quality and the professionalism of like the performers that I've gotten to work with. So there was one city on tour where we had one show, something was wrong with the sound system. And so for the entire first act, a song would go and then the music would cut out for about 20 seconds. And that just kept happening repeatedly over and over and over again. And the dancers would just keep dancing. They would keep the beat in their own minds and just keep doing the thing till it came back on and would be right in time when the music came back. And same with like people had to keep rapping. You had no idea when it was gonna, so like I would be doing my shot and the music would just drop out and I'd just be going a cappella for 20 seconds, just trying to just like, keep the beat. And then like you'd come back in and you were on it. And it was crazy and not very safe and all of that stuff. But the fact that everyone on that stage was able to just do that and to just keep the show going, it was just a really, really cool moment and an example of like, the show must go on and just how performers can roll.
That's the rush.
Really
That's
cool.
the adrenaline
Exactly.
rush. Oh my gosh. Oh, well, I mean, guys, I hope everybody who's watching can appreciate what an amazing opportunity we've had to have this kind of insight and to celebrate the release of the streaming of Hamilton tomorrow, and for everybody to come together to help us raise funds for our actors out there who are really going to be going through a difficult time now over the next few months. It's already been challenging, but now we're going up to January, and that these wonderful Hamilton performers have graciously taken their time and their energy to step forward to help us support their fellow actors as well. So this is all done out of the kindness of their hearts. This money that you are donating at boommasterclass.com is going specifically to help our partner charities who are helping actors make it through these difficult times. And so
anybody who donates tonight will also be, make sure you email us. That's me in the coming out. We have playbills that people can print for their little fun viewing parties at their house tomorrow in their living room with tickets like they're at the theater or the movie theater. They can print them out. So anybody that donates, we're going to send that off to and email that to them.
So guys, once again, thank you so much. We are just ever so grateful to you and for everything that you're continuing to do. I know I can speak for my life and my children's lives, what you've done, and you always bringing your A game to the table and always showing up and always being willing to take those kind of risks in the public eye. You're teaching my children greatness, and I am so grateful to you for that opportunity. Everybody who's logged on here with us, from Ella at 11 to Mama Helen at age 91, you're bringing something that's giving a different perspective. You're sharing your voice, you're sharing your opinions. We've been able to really hear where you're coming from and what you're doing during this time, and it's been inspiring. And this is how we do it. This is how we do it. We actually show up, and we throw these parties, and when we invite these kids, I want you to, there's my Hamilton party in the background. They're full of popcorn and vegan sweets, and oh, they're gone. There's nothing left for me. And that they were able to come together and have that experience of being able to listen to you sing and to share your backstories. And I'm just overwhelmed with joy, and I thank you. So to everybody who's been part of this, thank you, because we couldn't do Boom without you. And it looks like over the next couple of months, the idea of Boom is going to be really important in keeping us connected. And so if you're not a member, please do go check us out at boommasterclass.com. Sign up. It's not too late to donate. You've got /donate on the website. Throw a couple of bucks towards these actors who are always turning up for us. It's our turn to turn up for them. And I thank you to the actors who have come here to support their fellow actors and to spend their time with us today. It's been utterly extraordinary.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Thanks everyone. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
And that's a wrap.